The mind is a funny thing, isn't it? On the one hand, we do know what's wrong, right and wrong, and on the other hand, we can't help ourselves, right? Not necessarily, doing wrong, but in general. So today's quote is from Epictetus, and he says, "The proper work of the mind is the exercise of choice, refusal, yearning, repulsion, preparation, purpose, and assent. What then can pollute and clog the mind's proper functioning? Nothing but its own corrupt decisions." So what he is saying is that the mind has 7 functions, right? So we have choice to do and think right. We have that choice. Everyone has that choice. We can choose to do the right thing. We can choose to think the right thing, but we don't do it. We don't always choose the right thing, and that's because it's our kind of our wishful nature, our nature to attract and to be attracted to pleasure and to go away from pain. So that's why we don't make the right choices. The second is refusal of temptation. The mind's function is to refuse temptation, and not from a religious or a biblical or any other perspective, but purely from a practical perspective. On a daily basis, we are tempted by stuff that we know to be wrong, and the natural thing for the mind to do is to refuse that, and yet sometimes we don't, right? And the third is yearning, and yearning is for betterment, yearning to be better. Our mind always yearns to be better, for us to be better. Now, of course, this could be better inside. It could also be betterment outside, which is a better life, more money, things like that, and which, of course, conflicts with the other things in the mind. And that's where this is leading to, why this conflict comes up. And the next one is repulsion, right? The mind naturally repulse or repels against negativity, right? Against bad influences, against falsehood, against evil. Now that is the mind's true nature, to repel these things. Next is preparation. Preparation for whatever happens in the future, or whatever happens in a situation, or whatever happens in the end. And you may have noticed this when you're going through a phase and you have an issue, you have a problem, and you're running out of options. There comes a time when you're just going to be like, to hell with it, whatever happens, I don't care. So that is actually the natural state, but we resist that state, and we worry, and we create stress for ourselves, and we because our mind is clawing at the same time to resist that preparedness for whatever might happen. But in fact, that is the true nature of reality, isn't it? Whatever is going to happen will happen. Of course, that doesn't mean that, let's say let's say your pet, right? Your dog or your cat or whatever is on a ledge and it's about to fall off. You can't just sit there and think, okay, let whatever happens, right? You do have to try and say, okay, let me, maybe not a cat or dog, maybe a child, right? That makes more sense. You can't just say, let it happen. You have to try and prevent that. But that's different from what I'm talking about and what this quote is referring to. This is about, actually, I think this will dovetail into the next one, which is purpose. Actually, the last one, and I'll come back to this word. The next one is purpose, which is our guiding principle and highest authority. And I did a video yesterday or day before about purpose, right? Having a purpose, and the mind wants to have a purpose. And that's why we think, I mean, the human race has always been looking for purpose. And that's because it's the natural state of the mind. And then the final one is assent. Assent to be free of deception of what is within our control and what isn't within our control. So a part of our mind is always trying to deceive us, to think that things that are not within our control are within our control. Okay, so it's trying to deceive us, to make us think that things that are really not within our control can be controlled. And this goes back to the preparation word, which is that we got to be prepared for whatever might happen. And this is for things outside our control. And we spend a lot of our time really having this conflict where we're trying to deceive ourselves that we can control things, right? Let's say in business, for example, whether you're going to get that next project, whether you're going to get that next client is not really within your control. And yet we worry about it. We obsess over it. What is within your control is, of course, doing the right thing in your business, doing the right thing in terms of maybe the right kind of promotion, the right marketing, whatever. You can control that, right? Doing the thing you can control. But what you cannot control is the outcome. So this particular quote by Epictetus, I love it. So he says, these are the 7 things these are the 7 functions of the mind. And yet, what can then pollute and clog the mind's functioning? What can pollute or stop us thinking about these 7 things and letting the mind do the natural thing? Nothing but its own corrupt decisions. So our choices, our decisions impede the natural functioning of the mind. Okay, so yeah, I mean, most of these quotes, Stoic quotes by the likes of Epictetus, Seneca, or Marcus Aurelius, any of the ancient Greek philosophers, they are quite complex. And it's amazing because it's like, what, 2,000-3,000 years ago, whatever it was, these guys were thinking in such a complex way about the realities of life, the realities of the mind, what is real what is real out there, what is real inside, what kind of deceptions do we have in place. And after 2,000 years, 2,000 or 3,000 years, we're still struggling. In fact, it's now worse. The deception is mind-blowing, right? Because of the distractions we have, because of the kind of manipulation, the media, the noise out there, today we're worse off than 2,000 years ago in terms of being able to identify what is real, what isn't, and what is, and that's probably why, we are always stressed. So have a think about it. Have a think about why we have the choice to do and think right, why we should refuse temptation, not in a biblical way, not in a righteous way, but rather on a daily basis for practical things that are good for our lives. And to yearn to be better, yearn for upliftment in life, every single day to be better than we were yesterday. To repulse or repel negativity, bad influence, falsehood, and evil. To be prepared for whatever happens in the future. To have a purpose, a guiding principle and the highest authority in life. And to assent, that is to be free of deception of what is within our control and what isn't. So this breakdown of these words and their explanation was given by MindClear, a beautiful website. I would recommend it. I'll probably try and leave a link below. Check them out. All right, see you in the next video.